How's it going, ladies and gents? I'm that socially awkward gamer you probably forgot existed, otherwise known as Patty Jack. I guess I'm the socially awkward movie reviewer thing. I need a new tagline. Huh, interesting. Anyways, I figured I would give the old movie reviews a go because everyone and their grandma is doing it nowadays, and I want to get a lot more money. So here we go with my first movie review, a classic, 1966's Thunderbirds Are Go.
Thunderbirds are go!
So right now you're probably asking yourself, why would I go back and review a movie from 1966 as my first review? And to be honest, I actually kind of grew up on these movies. Where I'm from, there was a really small video store out in the middle of nowhere. It had a couple hundred movies, and one of the Thunderbirds movies was in there. My dad grew up on these as well, so he was always encouraging me to go watch them and everything because he thought they were the greatest thing ever, because that's what he watched when he was a kid, and you know, power to him. So I thought it would be really interesting to go back and just see how movies back then were produced and all the effects that they use, and really how they stack up to the movies of today. So what is Thunderbirds? Well, it originally started out as a British series about a bunch of pilots that fly all these crazy jet planes and everything. It's kind of like espionage-y and stuff. And it was popular enough to spawn multiple seasons of the TV show, 2 movies back in the day, a remake in 2004, which really wasn't very good, and it's got a series revival that just came out in 2015. But this is where it started, so let's ask the question, does it hold up? Well, we're gonna find out. So the movie starts out with the Special Forces, or NASA, or I don't really actually know, it's not explained very well. They have a new space shuttle that they want to send to Mars. Yeah, we're off to a great start here. And they're getting ready to take it on its maiden voyage. So we see a bunch of clips of the spaceship plane thing getting ready to take off. And this looks really awesome for the first minute and a half tops, and then it just keeps going and 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 going. It's been 10 minutes. Who the hell decided that was a good idea? Honestly. I mean, I get that it looks cool and some of the miniature effects are great, but the first 10 minutes of the movie is them putting other parts onto the spaceship like it's a jigsaw puzzle and zooming in to see the flappy bits look cool. And it keeps going and going and go. So eventually they decide they want to take off and go to Mars, and I'd like to point out that this movie's budget didn't allow for the puppets to actually walk, so they just kind of slide around everywhere, which admittedly is pretty hilarious. But their attempt is foiled when a terrorist sneaks on board or something and tries to sabotage them and then gets his foot caught in something. I honestly don't really know. There's a guy in there, and then something happens, and then they can't go to Mars, and they crash in the ocean because the Thunderbirds, you know, that stars of this movie couldn't help them. So in the first 15 minutes of this movie, they have successfully established that they have a plane that can go to space, and they want to go to Mars, but they can't, so they had to turn around and not go to Mars. Yeah. Now are you ready for the next exciting adventure in the Thunderbirds movie? Boardroom meetings!
Although the report runs to 862 pages and meticulously describes every happening that led up to the crash 24 months ago,
they decide they need to take a vote on whether or not they want to do another Mars thing, and everyone except one guy votes yes, and here's the scene where they reveal it.
I think our security arrangements are inadequate and would suggest that we ask international rescue to be present at the next launching.
You'll notice in this movie that every shot is just hung on to at the end for way too long. Also, them using real hands in the voting segment is really awesome, and I'm not even going to make fun of that. So they decide to not do it or something because of that guy, and we eventually go over to an island where we get the reveal of the Thunderbird crew. Oh my god, they look like Charlie's Angels after a sex change. I mean, like, seriously, they look like a racially non-inclusive boy band.
Right?
Right. Guess so, Dad.
That's the way it's always been.
Guess you're right, Dad.
So they decide that they want to go protect the mission to Mars so there's no more terrorists, and honestly, I was going to say how awesome this was until I was reminded that they can't walk, so they literally slide one of the guys into his Thunderbird, and I can't even anymore. I'm done. Also, this. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, this is all great and action-y, but where is my amazing female lead and possible romantic subplot and creepy-ass butler? They decide to go to a mansion where this one chick and her butler Parker is. I don't know her name. I don't care. Just look at this butler. It is fantastic. Tell me this guy is not going to haunt your dreams tonight. This is scary. So while all the Thunderbird guys are getting ready to send everyone back to Mars again, they send the butler and the lady person over to the US to try to stop the terrorists, and they roll up in this pink car secret agent thing, and it's called the Fab One, of course it is, right? Then they engage the terrorists in this chase scene. I'm just gonna let this be a thing for you.
I don't think there's much point in looking for survivors, Parker.
No, Malay.
So during all that, they were also taking off with the plane, and they were actually being held hostage for a while, but I really don't care about that, so they're going to Mars. So some boring stuff happens, and then one of them is having a weird dream sequence because he didn't get to go on the mission, but I didn't mention it. You don't really care. And this dream sequence is weird as hell and goes on forever. Like, I have zero idea what's going on, if there's like a love interest thing or something, but then all of a sudden they're going into space. Like, I just saw something go into space, and it's the Fab One. That's slightly less awesome. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Never mind. I'm just going to ignore the rest of this and hope it goes away forever, honestly. We'll jump on you if you don't love me no more. So now they've gotten to Mars, quote unquote. I'm not entirely convinced considering it's not red, but yeah, okay. And I swear I'm not kidding. They literally just decide to start shooting things for science. And what's worse, and I need you to stay with me here, the things they're shooting are alien Cyclops rock snakes that can shoot fireballs. Do you need a moment? So what do the heroic Thunderbirds do? They leave. They went to Mars There was rock snakes, so they left. Do something! And then literally the rest of the movie is them trying to land the ship, but the one Thunderbird who couldn't do anything had to go and fix it so that they could, like, escape the ship, but it doesn't work. So they eject from the ship, and the second multi-billion-dollar spaceship that they used to go take a round trip to Mars with explodes. And then they decide to party. Also, did that one guy always have the mustache? I don't think he did. What? Movie. No! No, movie! No! What were you... What? So that's Thunderbirds. I love it. I'm the type of person that can sit through the worst of the worst. And this is not the worst of the worst. It's fascinating to watch if you actually enjoy, like, old school, weird movies with an interesting set design and with an interesting way of filming. It's quite obvious that this script was made for TV. This was originally going to be a 21-minute episode. It has to have been. It explains why all the shots were hung on to for so long, why there was no character development, there was no new characters. It was made for fans of the show, and that might show, but at the same time, all of the characters and the set designs and all the little details and the miniature models, it's all supremely well done and fantastic. I love it. Just all the little workarounds that they had to do with their budget limits and how they would make all the characters like move their fingers and everything so they'd shoot real people and all that. It's fascinating to see how filmmakers had to do it back in the day. And for people like me especially who have taken film courses and learn all this stuff, you know, it's great to see other ways of doing things that I never would have thought of before. So if you're into movies at all from an artistic standpoint, I really think you should go check this out because it's got a lot of really neat ideas. You just have to be prepared to sit through a lot of drab nonsense that really doesn't hold up by today's standards. But that doesn't make it bad. It just means it was a product of its time. That's Thunderbirds. I am IAmPattyJack. Hope you guys enjoyed my first ever movie review. I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.
Gee, thanks, Dad.